Hello, my name is Mink Jawandor. Uh, I'm a school teacher, and I also work for the U.S. Department of Commerce. And my book is called Once Upon a Time in Freetown. It's about the civil war in Sierra Leone. When the civil war officially enters into Freetown, the war started in 1991. Just to give you a brief synopsis about it, in Sierra Leone, and it ended up in 2002. But before that, the war never get into the city of Freetown. So what the war came into Freetown was 1996 after a national election. The war came into Freetown. That's when the world officially understand about the Sierra Leone blood diamond stories, and that's when we got attracted and they start the refugee programs that coming around so that way they can help people to get out of their situation, which I was fortunate to be part of to come to the U.S. and I'm grateful for that. I wrote this book out of reflection, and after I went through education in Texas, went to high school when I came, went through college, and all the way to get a master's, I decided to write this book out of reflection and education and research. The book starts from 1996 to 1999. It's subtitled We Want Peace. The We Want Peace comes from when the tension rises, that's what the people cry for, we want peace. But the actual book is Once Upon a Time in Freetown from 1996 to 1999. 1996, the military took over the country, and they were moved out. So when the war officially get into Freetown, we were all in problems, and the president was overthrown twice, and it was restored twice. So that's what this book is about. Then it also importantly talk about during wars, people don't really know what happened beyond just who killed who. People still have to grow up in wars, like us. We was in our early teenage years, so we was growing up, and we were learning. Our family members have to teach us. An example would be like if you're looking at the war in Sudan or Gaza right now. If you look at the news, you will see a kid in the background playing soccer, going about their business. That's what we were doing. We were growing up inside of that situation, and the world did not know about that. So out of reflection, I wrote about what we were doing and how we grow up. Like example, kids have to be born, parents have to still teach the kids cultural activities, hoping they'll survive and they continue a life. Then business have to happen. Naming ceremony for kids that were born got to happen. Those things that you have to teach your kids how to ride a bike. Soccer tournaments happen inside of a war. People still try to keep themselves happy. So those are the things I wrote about. Then I also write chronologically everything that happened from 96 to 99, from the takeover to the restoration of the government to the international community involvement, where they asked the country to grant clemency to certain people when they refused, and all those important informations are on my book, and the role that ECOWAS plays, and the roles that the United Nations play, and the roles that also the European Union play to restore peace and reconciliation to the people that bring peace in the country in 2002 when the war officially ended. I'm gonna read part of the book so that way you guys can get a brief synopsis about it. I will skip chapters so that way you can get a good idea of certain places of the book. Chapter 1. Once Upon a Time in Freetown, the background. In my lifetime, I have to tell the sad but interesting stories that I witnessed from another perspective about the war in Freetown, Sierra Leone, to the world for someone to hear from 1996 to 1999. A small and the most important chapter about the civil war in the Republic of Sierra Leone, when the war officially enters into the capital city of Freetown. Some of these war stories people do not know about, people do not have the opportunity to talk about, people do not even know events like this happen or go on during civil wars in Africa or any other civil war across the world. This may sound strange or challenging to some people, but when you live in a war-torn country as a young youth during a war, you will still always find ways to still socially have fun, enjoy life with friends, family, neighbors, and people in the surrounding community, regardless the hard times and careless about the death that you are surrounded by, mainly because civil war has led to undiagnosed mental illness, trauma, hopelessness, increased poverty, lack of education, physical well-being decreases, lack of hospital, mortality rate increase, and during this time, it become clear to you and everyone else around you in your environment, there is no local or international help. Even if you have opportunity to have help, it may be at the 11th hour. The main cause of civil war in Africa is relative deprivation, which was the initial cry of the Revolutionary United Front. That was and still is the common and the most problem across the country that lead to the civil war in Sierra Leone. As a young man, not college educated, blind to the events that led to power struggle among the political elite, I, along with my friends, my family, and the people in my surrounding community, innocently find ourselves in the midst of all this in Freetown during those awful days. I had no choice or opportunity to escape this circumstance to another country, unlike young people from wealthy families. My only option was to live through this war and experience the day-to-day activity, both sadly and happily simultaneously. During these times, if you or anyone were killed by RAF soldier, RAF rebel, AFRC soldiers, or the West African peacekeeping force, it feels like it's God's will. You could only hope your soul make it to heaven, even though it was an untimely death. For the international community like the United Nations, your death was just another normal outcome in the Civil War, and you will become a statistics in the so-called Blood Diamond War that was raging in Sierra Leone, like any other bloody civil war in Africa. But in the middle of this bloody civil war and poverty, this never stopped natural or cultural existence for people to continue to embrace fun activities and build memories in their environments, because death has slowly become normal to you and your family and friends and people in your surrounding community. During these times, you see death so much you expect it to happen. And you all know that environment programs your mind. During this time in Freetown, you become immune to seeing dead people and decomposed body every day, or a truck full of RAF rebel driving past you with the head of a dead individual dripping with blood in front of the truck, and the rebel will be singing to reggae music inside of the truck, at the same time happily smoking and drinking, shouting, "We are taking over this country." In those moments, you realize you're inside of a real human life jungle, and you wonder if the rest of the world are forgetting about us. And at this point, when you hear the death of an individual or somebody you know, you automatically think he was being killed by a soldier or RAF or the ECOMOC. After all these years passed by, I came to believe that the word of historians that not all food you see or eat reminds you of joy, and not all songs you hear broadcasting on the radio brings you fond nostalgic memory. And this circumstance occurred to me because when you have lived in a war-torn country, your memory of events are different. For instance, now when you go to the store to buy food, when I go to the store to buy food or see food like BP5 biscuit for malnourished kids, or corn flour, oil, bulgur, or attempt to cook this type of food at home, the smell will alter my mindset into a state of panic, combat readiness, or escape mode. Because I vividly remember times when me and my friends and my family would be cooking these foods during the war in Freetown, when the RAF rebel may attack or the ECOMOC start shell and bomb randomly into your neighborhood, you will have to run to save your life. I will later come back and continue cooking if you're fortunate to survive the shelling and come back, or just when you come back, or just grab the hot part off the cooking fire and ran with it, because it may not be there when you come back. When I hear songs like Natural Mystic by Bob Marley, songs like Be Honest to Yourself, and Revolution of Time by Joseph Hills from the Jamaican roots reggae group called the reggae called Culture, which is extremely popular in Sierra Leone, I reflect to the dark days in Freetown that have left the people with a lasting spiteful memory. I was born in Freetown, Frobe, and living in Freetown was all I had, all I knew. I'd never been to the provinces of Sierra Leone. For most residents as well, living in Freetown is all we have and all we have seen. If it's what life presents to you as a young kid. For an adult as well that have never lived the shores of Freetown, it's like you cannot think of a color you never seen when you have never traveled. Freetown is the magnet city of Sierra Leone, and it is a vibrant city. Every Sierra Leonean wants to be there, but this bloody civil war slows us down. But daily activity did not come to an ultimate stop. In the middle of this bloody civil war, my friends, my family, my neighbors, and people in my surrounding community, we are always looking forward to tomorrow bringing us happiness. We refuse to look back into the yesterday of life because our yesterday will always been difficult. In this book, I want readers to know that during wars, people still have fun, do their day-to-day activities, even though it may sound challenging. During it may sound challenging during the existence of life. Even though it may sound challenging, the daily existence of life do not stop during crisis times. You still have to interact with people, culturally raise your kids, and teach them life skills while you're still alive. For example, in the crisis in Freetown, every little break we got, we still have business people want to do business to make some money. People who can afford to pay will pay for service. Teachers will create private class session to make money. Local entertainers will still find a way to make little something in local bars where people still manage to go. Another example is during this time of a crisis, babies are born. Parents must have to culturally name their kids at home, churches, or at mosque for the newborn babies. So therefore, you must pay the pastor or imams to perform the religious naming ceremony. The parents have to pay the ceremonial fees, and people can conduct little traditional wedding. Christmas holidays are also celebrated. New Year's Eve, people go to the mosque, church, to celebrate New Year's event the following day. And for the Muslim, Eid al-Adha, Eid al-Fitr are also celebrated during this time. And the Muslim fast during the month of Ramadan and go to the traditional national parks to perform their traditional prayer at the end of Ramadan, especially in the community where I'm from, the Forbay community. Also during the Easter holidays in Freetown, Christians celebrate Easter holiday. You still have to teach your kids how to fly a kite. Just like what you see when you turn on your TV in the news from war-torn country, you still see little kids play soccer somewhere in the background. And those are the true metaphors of war. In the middle of this power struggle, people force themselves to perform these type of activities to create normalcy for themselves because life must continue regardless of the circumstance you're faced with. In these times, parents still have to make efforts to teach their kids and introduce to their children social and cultural skills, activities that they grow so as they grow inside of the Civil War. For instance, during this time, I taught my auntie little son, Basiru, how to ride a bike. He loved to play soccer as a kid. I was an adult, I was older than him. So he always asked me to take him to play soccer with him. And I always help him to do that. As you read along, I will share with you a vivid insight of how we live in Freetown by the grace of God, and how we made the worst look like it was okay, not even with faith, but also absolute zeal, courage, and luck from 1996 to 1999. And mainly gear my conclusion towards the reason why instability has become an endemic in Sierra Leone and Africa as a whole.